Hello and welcome back to Dry Conversations. I'm your host, Whitney Cowell. Joining me today is my friend Jason Douglas. Hey, Jason.
Hey Whitney, how you doing? Just straightening my collar.
Do what you got to do, but I'm great. I'm glad to have you on the show and to hear your story.
Yeah, I've been a fan of what you've been able to do, and I think as more of us recover and do it out loud, the stronger it is. Not everybody has that problem, but those that do, it's a saving grace for them.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. This is actually a new connection for us, so most of the information I'm about to hear is going to be the first time for me and for people that are listening. So I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I've been in the transportation industry for since high school, so um, which is linked to drinking as well. There's a high activity in the trucking industry, just because it's a stressful environment and nonstop. So that puts a lot of pressure on people. But I've learned to love the people and the drivers and everything that makes it churn. So I've tried to get out of the trucking industry and I can't.
Once you're in, it never lets you go.
That's what everybody says. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go be like a toll booth attendant. Like
Yep.
that's what I feel like I should be the rest of my life. And then here I am doing something else in it, and it's because the people always bring me back.
Yep, it's true. The 16th, so tomorrow actually marks 9 years for me in the industry. So we
Wow.
just keep plugging away.
Yep. And then in 9 more years you'll have gray in your hair like I do in my beard, and it just comes with the territory.
It does. So I want to go ahead and just kick off because I really don't know much about your story. And the question that I love to start with is what happened? How did we get here?
Sure. So I'll say right now, fast forward to today, I'm 4.5 years sober. um it The growth in the last 4.5 years has been just substantial, personally, financially, business. Everything has just grown through sobriety. And it wasn't that fix all solution. It just opened the door. You still
Mhm.
had other things to work on, but to where I am at today, I never thought I'd be here and be able to have fun and be smarter and be in better situations than back in the day. We all have that party stage, but for some of
Mhm.
us, that party stage just got put on.
Yeah.
Um, I really didn't have much of a party stage. I got, married out of high school, married my high school sweetheart, still married, 16 years this year, and we've been together for 20 years.
Wow.
So it just kind of, as you move up in life, and, I started at a plumbing supply place back in the day, and working in their shipping and receiving, and was a local driver there. And that's how I started. And then went from a dispatcher, and, you're newlyweds and you're in your first house and your house poor and pinching every penny and eating ramen noodles and all that good stuff. And, buying the plastic bottles of liquor
Mm.
and
The
the
boxes of
cheap
wine.
ones.
I know.
Yeah, just the cheapest stuff that does the trick. And I never was a beer guy, so that was part of the issue. Um,
Oh wow.
Beer never. Was kind of a straight to the liquor guy.
You went hard from the beginning.
I did,
Okay.
and in organizations where I've worked at in the past, everybody drank. That's how you got customers. That's, on the golf course, you sneak it in. If you go to lunch at a bar with a customer or somebody, it's okay to have beers. It's like, airport or a casino. It's like outlaws. Like there's
Everywhere.
no rules whatsoever.
Yeah,
Um,
it's totally commonplace. Like, that's
yeah,
very even I've worked at places where it's like, even in the office, like, people have their, like, novelty whatever to celebrate, and it's always there.
it is. And it's kind of weird. Utah has a different culture where it's like it's getting a little more open to things, but for the most part, Utah's culture is like people would hide drinking.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably why I never really was much of a partier or a bar goer. love casinos, and but I would normally just drink at home, and to me, I thought that that was, you know, a harmless crime.
Right.
But I didn't know the damage that I was doing, and I remember throughout those years, it was stressful work. You know, I was trying to find myself, trying to, you know, start a family, and then, you know, I tried to make it. I was very strict for a long time on just a weekend thing. I still didn't have an off button, so I would drink until I passed out. But then it would be like, all right, Monday's here. Let's have some coffee, take a cold shower, and let's grunge through this next week. And
Yeah.
then that slowly started into, you know, nightly occurrences, or a couple times a week. And then you fast forward 3 or 4 more years, and then it's just a nightly thing. And then you fast forward a couple more years, and then it's heavily a nightly thing. And then, you know, I would go through, up until probably 3 years before I started like really diving into having a problem. I'd always tell myself, if I can stop for a month, I don't have a problem. That's
Yep.
probably the number one sign you have a problem.
The
But
bargaining with yourself. Yeah.
yes, the bargaining and the self conversation. So I'd be like, you know, if I can just make it a month, then I know I don't have a problem. And then it got to begin when I couldn't make it that month,
Right.
and then it just kind of started to unravel there. And then as things happened, you know, unhappy at a position I was at, you know, with work or whatever it may be, and then just being unhappy with life, and then, you know, how negative attitude compounds everything. It just, when you're Eeyore, you're just never fucking happy. So you're never happy. You're just
Right. So what you gotta
negative on everything. It's just, and sometimes, and I caught myself doing that. I was you know, I had imposter syndrome, like, I'm not really this cool person, I'm not really that good at that, you know, if this happened. So I was really like critical of my work. And then I was
Mhm.
trying to be a runner. You know, I grew up, I was fast in track and playing sports. And so I about 2018 I started getting back into running, but I was still an alcoholic. And
That's a terrible combination.
it is a terrible combination. I remember my I don't think I've said this one out loud yet to a lot of people. Well,
Oh,
I've said it, but it's a good one. My first marathon, half marathon, my goal was to break 2 hours. You know, that seems to be like the threshold for
okay.
people. So I came in at an hour and 43 minutes, my first ever half. I ran right to my truck, drank a mini bottle of Tito's, and
Oh,
smoked 2 cigarettes. Because I smoked back then too, and I wanted to be a runner.
breakfast of a champion, huh?
Yeah, it's like, uh, you know, and just like the shame of hiding behind, like, you know, because everybody there is so positive and they're health minded, and they're, you know, that everybody's positive, body positive, because there's no such thing as a runner's body. So you got big people, small people, old people, young people. It's just amazing. All these people at running events, and they're all cheering. Nobody's there to win. They're there for the self battle and the deal that they made with themselves to finish that race. So everybody's cheering everyone else on, and you know, there's hugs at the finish line, and I ran back over to smoke an old cowboy killer down.
That's a wild way to I just like there's the sick part of me wants to say good for you, but like the healed part of me is baffled.
Right. Same. The you know, the the old me's like, you know, that's kind of badass, you know, because, you know, I brought my time down to 2 years ago before I got injured. I ran it in 121, and
Wow, amazing.
that was cigarette and alcohol free. But I was just thinking, man, remember when I had a cigarette? That was pretty damn cool. Because then a story came out about a marathon guy that ran the Tokyo one or something in like 3 hours and 30 minutes, and he smoked the entire time.
People are wild. I
Yeah,
couldn't
I know.
imagine. I can barely run a mile, and I don't I never have. Well, that's I did illegal things, but you know,
Right.
to me, that's unimaginable. But I think it's really cool that you're able, it sounds like you were able to maintain a hobby, you know, while you were drinking. I definitely was very far outside of that realm.
Yeah, and I'd still go snowboarding. The problem with snowboarding is you can do that hammered.
Yes.
You shouldn't,
No.
because bad things happen. But I'd go up snowboarding and I'd just get plastered. And even on the ride up, and I caught myself, camping. That camping is what probably one summer, camping and mountain biking started my early morning drinking. Um, that started it off. So
Mhm.
when I would camp, I would always say, you know what? It doesn't matter that I'm the last one to sleep, and because I'm the first one to wake up, get a fire going and I start making breakfast for everybody. It took, so I was a bottle drinker now. Now we fast forward to that, probably 20, right before COVID. Um, and so now I'm drinking, um, 2 to 3 bum jugs a week of Tito's, and I'm hiding it. And in camping, I remember when I finished one in a day and a half, and
Oh,
I was
that's a
just like,
lot, Jason.
it is a lot. But I was like, I'm this man in the mountains, building fires, catching fish, making food. I always like to do the old ways of scouts of like making a fire with the bow and arrow and making fish traps, like pretend I'm on Naked and Afraid. But really, that's just what happens when I wake up and feel like shit.
Sure. There's correlation.
That's why I would sleep outside too. I'd put my cot next to the fire so I could keep my bottle in my sleeping bag, and I would just, I'd love doing that. And then, I connected that, a little bit of booze in the outdoors is fun. So I'd,
Yep.
bring a bottle mountain biking and sneak a few shots and not let people know, mountain bike, and then have it done. And then, it got crazy around that time when I would do it before going to the gym or CrossFit, just waking up and having a headache. And then I'd go and like crush a workout. I'd have a cup of coffee on the way to the gym. And, I'm already in, let's see, 2 or 3 gulps is probably realistically 4 shots for me because my gulps were like,
Big. Yeah, no. And I drank like I had OCD, like I would count and I would do between like 4 and 9 gulps.
oh,
And that
yeah.
like, towards the end, and I went from zero to a lot of times blackout really, really quickly doing that.
I ended up, as I was going over the 3 of those bomb jugs to 4 of them a week at the end of it, that was really making me sick and shaky, and I was starting to see those signs, and I was googling them, and I was starting to get scared, you
Yeah.
know because there'd be some days where we'd go to lunch and we'd go to a bar or something, and it was cool to have drinks at the bar, and then that just translated to having drinks the rest of the day and on the ride home from Salt Lake, and it's 5 o'clock and I've had 10 drinks, and all this time the lie that we all tell ourselves is I'm functional, I'm still getting shit done.
Right.
And that may be partially true, but what you and I have come to found out is, um that level of completion is 40% at best of what you have,
Right.
um, later down the road. So I got to the point where I started seeking help. I went to, um, I did a couple therapists online, didn't like it.
Sure.
Um, they didn't tell me what I wanted to hear. Seek
They
medical
tend
help.
to act like that, don't they?
Yeah. So, I wasn't told, oh, just come here. It's okay. We can have drinks while we talk this out. So, nobody was telling me that. So I was like, fuck that. That's not the right approach for me. And then I went to AA, and I have friends. I have tons of people that went through the program that love it. It works for them. It's super successful. I donate to it. it didn't click with me from the way I learn. So I tried, kept doing that, and then did the counselors. And I ended up finding one that I called out of like the blue pages, and she's like, "Yeah, I take cash, and I can do it. I'm doing it on the side until I build my own practice." So Sunday mornings worked great for me. So we started doing that, and we'd make goals of try not to drink tonight, and be like, I'm drunk right now. Because we started them on Zoom, so during COVID, and so she was doing them on Zoom, and yeah, I would wake up in the morning. I'd have them every Sunday morning at 9, and I'd be drunk to take it. And I don't know if it was good or bad. The good part is it made me feel more loose to probably tell some things that we could fix later down the road, because I went through that whole year of therapy while drinking.
Wow.
But she was super cool. We worked towards it. She played it smart, because she must have just known how my brain worked, and we just slowly kind of went this way. And then when we kind of resolved some of these things and made other goals, and where I started to succeed, all of a sudden it was like, okay, I'm gonna stop drinking now. And she's like, what, you're ready? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, fucking A,
Wow.
let's do this shit. So she was like pumped as hell. And then, like, as we start going on, through sobriety, as I get to the year mark, she is just hyped, man. Like every every week something good is happening, and she is like just in my corner hardcore, and it's just successes are stacking on top of each other. I'm getting healthy, I'm running. Like I would eat a whole box of oatmeal cream pies when I got sober.
A lot of people substitute alcohol with sugar. I feel like that is so normal.
Yeah. I never was like a sweet tooth. My mom, I'd never, she'd be like, "What do you want for your birthday this year? I want to make you a cake." And I'd be like, "No, I don't care." But
Yep.
now I'm like, even to this day, I like cake.
Yep.
So thanks, sobriety, you gave me cake.
And I totally relate to like showing up to places where you're going to get better completely trashed, because I used to do that. I would stop by. So I lived above this like gourmet burger and beer joint, right? Like it was craft beers, and it was really swanky, and the kind of place that has like spicy ketchup. Um
Yeah.
so, and I loved that. So I would go down there and I would get a burger and have between 2 and 3 glasses of wine, and then go to my appointment. So I think that um there is a time and a place, right? Because I also had to work through a couple of things. And um I remember the first time that I kind of outwardly said, I think I have a problem with alcohol. And it was after I had addressed like a fear of being angry, because I didn't know what that was supposed to look like in a healthy way. Um,
Yeah.
some really strong codependency, just some other things. And then it was just kind of like all that was left was me in the bottle. And I'm really thankful for that. I wouldn't trade that experience. And I'm sure my therapist, poor Bonnie, she was so probably tired of me. But we did it, and 2.5 years later, she was one of the people I reached out to when I got engaged, and when I celebrated my first year and my second year, my third year sober, because she helped me get there.
100%. It the shame that leads into quitting too. I just remember drinking, and I was thankful that I didn't get a DUI. I didn't, there wasn't just this moment that smacked me in the face that said, get sober or you're gonna die. It was just my body feeling like I was going to die, getting shaky. And then just like I was literally like, I hope we lose connection.
Nope, we're good.
Okay. I was literally like, when I would take shots, I'd go out, I'd have it in my place in the garage, and I'd uh, be like, "You piece of shit. Like,
Yep.
don't drink. Only take one." And then I'd gulp one and take another one and be like, "God damn it, you piece of shit." Like
Yeah.
I would say that to myself,
Because
and
it's
then I look at my yeah, it is insane, and it just hit me hard because I just and so then I hated myself because I couldn't control it. And it would be like, "Oh, we gotta go to this? Okay, one sec. I left my shoes inside." And then I'd fill up a Kirkland water bottle of vodka. That was my thing. I had always had a Kirkland water bottle, and they just told everybody, I'm running, I'm training, I'm always drinking water, but one of them
okay.
was vodka. And
Because a lady would carry purses, so I always had airplane bottles or like the small.
yeah, yep. And we don't even sell those in Utah, so you have to really try to be an alcoholic because you got to remember about Sundays and you got all the holidays marked down because they're state-run liquor stores. So you're like, tomorrow's MLK Day. I got to make sure, or Monday's Martin Luther King Day. I got to get 3 bottles. So I'd always buy like 3 bottles before a holiday or over the holiday weekend, or 4 bottles, of Tito's, of the big ones. And
Yep.
then that meant that I could drink even more. And then the other thing, the other mind fuck that I'd play with myself is I'd keep it in the bag so I couldn't see how much I had left. So it was just like free game, right? It was I wasn't drinking that much if I couldn't see it move down.
Sure. That's but we rational. Like it is crazy. Like it's not normal, right? The way that
Right.
our brains work, it's not normal. And I think that's why for some people that don't understand addiction, the mentality of like, why can't you just stop and saying, I don't know, is kind of like, why didn't you take one sip? Why did you just take three when you told yourself you're going to take one? I don't know because I'm compulsively and obsessively drinking. And that's why I think it's a miracle people that are sober
It
because
is.
look back to our mind patterns, like it is a total transformation.
Well, and people that don't get it, I don't know, is not a reasonable answer. But
No,
it's like legit. Like,
sometimes
people
it's
that were trying to help me like, did you just drink all that? Yeah. Why? I don't know. I
no.
don't know. And um and it just got to where I always had that bottle with me. Day events didn't matter. I just had another bottle of water with me that was vodka. I could fit just a normal size bottle into one of those uh 16 ounce, whatever it was. I think it was 16 ounces. Um, Almost a full bottle would fit into it'd leave me that much for the night when I got home.
Okay.
Um, which then I'd need another bottle.
Yeah.
So it the bottle drinking was not good.
Mhm.
And then that combined with not having an off switch, it just turned into you know, counting down the time between coffee and liquor. Those were hours where you just survived. And I'll tell one quick story of desperation and then I'll move on to the good stuff where it got better. But it's such a funny story of a dumbass being a dumbass and what like addict brain does to you. I was home alone and I was watching Trailer Park Boys and I was having a marathon and I was just drinking whiskey and smoking cigarettes. I was probably 24 and it'd been like my second or third day of just in a blackout phase and it was at night and I knew I wanted to stop smoking. So I grabbed my pack of cigarettes, put them under the sink, thought I was going to bed. I threw them in the garbage, went to go lay down, ended up getting back up and watching TV again. I was like, oh man, a cigarette sounds good right now. And I'm like, I can't drive, cannot drive. So I did what any logical drunk person does at 2 a.m. When they open the garbage can, get the wet cigarettes out, laid them on a cookie sheet, and I put them in the oven at 400 degrees
Oh,
to dry them out.
that's so
And,
trashy.
and I'm sitting there rolling them, pulling out, rolling them like cookies, making sure they're drying out okay, put them back in. And then I ended up, they worked. And that was just like,
So trashy.
if you just had, have the mentality of an addict looking for what they want, and you will fuck everything up. Nothing can stop you.
You will accomplish it. That's, I think, where the saying, you can do anything you put your mind to. It's like you, let's rephrase that, you know? Some of
Yeah.
us have really experienced what that's like.
Yeah. In that, when I tried hiding like a wine, I went through a wine phase because that's better than liquor. And I had like 3 boxes of wine over Christmas break hidden. So I drink the liquor, and then when the rightful amount of liquor that I drank was done, I'd sneak the wine. And all Christmas break I had off during this period. And then when I went to go shave to go back to work, I had a permanent purple mustache. 'Cause I was just sloppy drinking it. It just was embedded on my mustache. It was just a
Oh,
purple wine mustache. I
yeah,
was able to get it off, but just
you
another thing.
walked
I'm
the
like, you
walk.
you jackass. Like, and then there's millions of stories in between there that I could tell and stay on forever between there and now. But the good stuff is in that first year when things started to get better. I planned a race, and the first year of therapy was amazing. And then I was kind of in a toxic environment with myself, and something had to change where I was at work at the time, and I ended up making a change. I had a headhunter call me and place me with Stokes Trucking. Um, I'd been over almost 2 years sober at that point, maybe a year and a half, and it was the greatest thing ever. I love those guys. Um, that job was great. Those guys were awesome. It was good for my mental health. It was good for everything. I in that time period, I was gonna go work at the toll booth. I had was like, you know what? I'm gonna go work at the toll booth. I think that was at the end of 2022, and then um, I ended up getting an opportunity. The company that I'd worked at previously was getting bought out, and the guy wanted me to come over and work with him and help run it, from the operations and recruiting standpoint. And we got over there, everybody was excited, and then, like things do, it just didn't work out. There were two different directions. There's no hard feelings there, but I kept in touch with everybody this whole time, with Stokes Trucking. The end of all of my sobriety, I started posting on LinkedIn, going to conferences, running in running groups, and doing my Instagram posts of sobriety and fitness, and really networking. And I've grown this huge platform and friends. One of the coolest things was when I went to my first TCA concert conference, and my wife came with me, and we're just walking around, and they're like, "Hey, Jason," like all these people I didn't even know were like, "Hey, come here, man. That's so cool. That's cool you're sober. That's so cool that you run." That's, just from LinkedIn posts and things like that. That was like, yeah, 2022, when TCA was in Orlando. Um, and that was really like my first taste of, I can be something bigger than myself in this industry and give back to a lot of people if I just start doing it. So then my mindset started to be like, what can I do to grow with other people? Who's growing? Who has these great ideas? So this whole time in my head, I'm still growing as I'm doing that, growing with Stokes, looking at this idea, still growing with James Clark when I went back and making all these connections, and being on all these boards and associations. And there was a cool year 24. I was um a top 3 finalist for Recruiter of the Year. I graduated through TCA's first group of their Elevate Young Professional program, and they wrote a cool article on me. And I was in, like, this is my first time getting in like papers and podcasts, and just like that's where imposter syndrome tries to fit in. Is this really you? And then I was like hit back with like a fuck yeah, this is you. Do what you do. And where I'm at today, I just have that mentality. I used to kind of get negative, and now, like, I'm not looking for fights or arguments. I stop and think, what? what is positive outcome is this going to have? Is it going to have a positive or negative outcome? And if it's negative, it doesn't serve me. So don't go back and, you
Right.
know, get that last jab in that, well, bitch, or slap it in while you walk. Get that last little jab
Truly
in
getting the
before you
last
walk away. You're right.
word.
That was petty me before, but now I'm like, this doesn't serve me. This doesn't serve my
Yeah.
direction. This doesn't serve where I want to be. I want to help people. I want to give back.
And
I
doesn't it
was,
feel good to have those boundaries with yourself?
it
Like,
does.
there was a part of me that always felt like I needed to win. And now, like, my inner peace is worth protecting, where it's like, that's the win. You know what I mean?
Yes, I agree with that. And so that I had that need to win that would stop me from trying. And
Yeah.
now it's like, I had so many firsts through sobriety that were awesome, like first jujitsu class, first this, first that, first whatever, and just go in and get your ass kicked and get knocked down and lose a race, um fail at something, put yourself out there, fail
Yeah.
at something that you tried hard in. It's okay. It just because it didn't work out, it might not be a right now, or it might not be the time. But if you show up every day with that mindset to outwork everybody and give it your best, and you have that leg up. Because I hate to say that, because but sobriety is a leg up. It's because you
Right.
have full confidence in yourself. I think I probably could only get to 60% of my potential without alcohol, and that's being generous. I think that I'm more in that 40 to 60%, and I think I've gone into that 90% and just trying to get better, 1% better every day. And the doors that have opened to where I am now, to just not even career wise, but just my personal well being. Um, I wake up every day. I used to wake up at 3, but now I'm remote starting last month. So now I wake up at 4. But, I took pride in that, that of just that crazy, who's that crazy guy running with his shirt off when there's 3 inches of snow on the ground, and that's me. And, um, I'm proud to be that guy, because I never thought that guy would make it.
Yeah.
Coming from the guy that's shaking cigarettes to make sure they're well done or medium rare
I love that
before.
story. It's amazing.
Yeah, to running 5-minute miles. And
That's
I
incredible.
it just, and I have a running coach who fully, that was one of the first things I said is, I I'm doing this because I've been with her for 3 years now, and I'm just coming off an injury that was brutal. It tested me, but luckily, I got through a negative little state and kind of popped back out on the other side, and here we are now, and I'm happy back. I'm still in the trucking industry. I started a new job, which on the vendor side, which is new to me, on with PCS. Um, but I've used them as a customer, and I loved the people there. And when the CEO and I connected, it was like, he's like, yeah, I want to use you and your platform, and just help give us a name and customers. And a lot of people look up to you for this and that, and being a name in the industry, and I just want you to be
Compliment.
you. Yeah, it was awesome. And it was in, we're really young into this, and they have some customer summits, and we have a freight waves next week. So this is really my
Are you gonna be in
orientation.
town?
I am. Yep. I'll be at
I
freight
live in
waves.
Chattanooga. Let's say hi.
Yeah. Come, please.
Come to the
Um,
trucker bar party.
the what?
I'll send it to you. We're having a little party the Monday before everything kicks off.
Absolutely. I'll be there. I'll be there Monday. Uh,
Perfect.
um,
I do
but
want to
anyway,
ask one thing that you haven't answered yet, if that's okay.
yeah, sure. Ask away.
How has sobriety impacted your family life?
That's a good question. Um, I've always prided myself on being a good dad, um, sober or not. But once again, I have 4 kids, so I have 7-year-old twins, a 9-year-old, and my 13-year-old. She turns 13 when we'll be in Chattanooga. So, but I'm making it up to her. We already have a plan. But so I've got 4 kids, and we just this, and my wife is amazing. Has been an amazing mother to them, and raising them at home, and we've been able to just have so much fun together, and then to level up from that 40% of a father and a husband to 100%. um you know it, it I was never one to cry. When my therapist first got me to cry, I was like, God damn it, I told you this wasn't gonna happen. And and as when I, I just remember that was when I worked out, the death of my grandma, because that kind of triggered. She
Mhm.
was one of my best friends, and one of the main people in my corner. So that got me. But then in sobriety, I've caught myself crying multiple times, and feelings doesn't make you a bitch, it makes you stronger.
Yeah,
And I'm, as a father, and seeing that, like seeing the compassion that my kids have, you still got to have that kick your ass. If you want to step up, let's go. But save that, reserve that to no, you don't need to show that side. You make more friends with the I love yous and the kindness and the I always tuck my kids in every night before I go to bed and lay with them, and giving each one, I love yous, and just now, instead of like having to go back in and take a shot to come back out to play basketball or whatever, just being in the moment, you don't miss those little memories. And that's parenting. That's when they open up to you when you're playing catch. And
yeah,
I could catch my kids that I'm a dumbass, and they say all my dumbass sayings, but it's like it's working. I want them to be good people, and they're always like, always tell the truth so you never have to lie. And that's what I always tell them. So they're always repeating it when they get mad at each other. Did you take my chocolate milk? No. Always tell the truth so you never have to lie. So I'm like, yeah,
I love
nail that. So that's like a saying, and it's do hard things. If you fail, so what? Do hard things.
Yep.
If you can at least say you did something hard today, I'm not going to ask you if you won or you lost. I'm going to ask you if you how you felt about doing
Right.
that hard thing.
Oh,
And
that's
it's like
good.
and that changes their mindset. Working with my 9-year-old that's kind of a student like I was early. I didn't learn very well in school, so that's why I was the class clown. I was terrible. I got suspended like 13 times. We don't have time for all those stories, but from streaking to peeing my pants for money to breaking into a portable for poker games, and you name it.
Lord, I can't imagine you drunk.
Yeah, it was fun. But you know what? We have our guys trip, and I don't drink, and all my friends respect that. They all
Yep.
um every single one of them, have opened up to me personally about wanting to drink less, or um not forcing it on me, and how I don't care. Like, now I can be around that, and it's cool because it keeps me accountable, because certain people hold you in a standard. And now that's me. I don't have that. My standard is here. I'm not gonna go below that. So I can't afford to go back to drinking, because it might be the last thing I do. It might take me. I've seen it start to
Yep.
take people as we get older, and it's not a pretty way to go, and it's not fun. It was miserable. Therapy was miserable until it was good. It's not a way, like survive mode. Survive mode is where it's at. Thrive mode sucks ass. Wait,
Flip it.
backwards.
Yeah. No, I knew what you meant. When you
Potato, tomato.
there is this moment where you start thriving, and I really appreciate you sharing that about your family, because I think it's really important for kids to know what it is to overcome, what it is to keep pushing, what it is to make mistakes and say, I'm not letting this define me. Um, Especially when they're subject to certain things that we do. And I think it's like kudos to your wife. 'Cause,
Rock
we
star.
we are it is hard to love an alcoholic and an addict. And that's not to crap on anybody, but like it is hard to love us when we are in our addiction. Uh,
Sure.
and I think it's absolutely beautiful that your family gets to see you living in freedom.
Yeah, I think like going back to that TCA moment of people knowing who I am, my wife was so proud. She's like, "How do all these people know you? You've never been to one of these yet." I'm like, "I don't know." And because at Stokes we made funny videos, and at James Clark we made funny videos, and it made us look like a much bigger company than we were. The marketing was great, and I loved making them with the team at Stokes, and we continued to make them at Clark's, and then I would start going to the conferences, and then pretty soon I made genuine friends, genuine connections, not over some drunken stupor at midnight. It was like, remember that? We stayed up late? Yeah, that was cool. It's remember when we talked about this for 2 hours? And, I can really, I've talked a lot on this show, but I love connecting and listening. Like, I'll always ask people, what makes you tick? Like, what makes you tick? What's your specialty? And like, man, you find out that this guy's a drummer and plays a band with his son, and this guy is a number one in the world at Pokemon, and this guy's a number one in the world at pickleball, and
Yeah.
just
And there's
crazy shit that you would never connect.
it's amazing. And then you get to learn from my perspective, and this is probably me showing my, the cards up my sleeve, but I love getting to know their hearts through their passions and
Yes,
and it's like, I love being a safe person because there are a gaggle of little kids that call me Aunt Whitney. And it is my favorite thing in the world. Like, do I have a swing set in the backyard? Absolutely, I do. I'm going to be the fun aunt. Like,
yeah, I love it.
and do we have our own kids? No, no, we don't. And that's something that I would have never had I not gotten sober, is for people to let me watch their kids and let my husband and I like have, Aunt Whitney and Uncle Mason family dates and like take them to the aquarium and
I love it.
I love that I get to do that.
And I'm sure when you're in the moment and you're just really taking it in, it's just the best thing in the world.
And it never gets old.
No, when we took a trip, one of my second or third trips sober. I was still kind of worried about it, and we were in Daytona Beach at the
Sure.
Hard Rock Hotel, and my wife and my one of my twins wanted to stay in, but my three other kids wanted to go bodyboard. It was pitch dark, so we covered ourselves in glow sticks, and we got the bodyboards. And I just remember at one time, all four of us, me, Kaylin, my 12-year-old, Cooper, my 9-year-old, and Tanner, one of the twins, we all caught the same wave, and we were just genuinely laughing so hard. And we came in and we just fell, and every mom and Emma were watching us from up there, and it was like dark, big stars, and our glow sticks went everywhere. And it was just like that moment will is a core memory for me that sobriety gave me, because I don't think I would take kids in the ocean at dark drunk. I hope
No.
not.
And I bet that was a core memory for them too.
I hope so. That my dad and mom always told me our goal for you was just to be better parents than we were. And I've noticed my friends, I'm proud of a lot of them, millennials in this age group. We try to connect at a different level with our kids. Dads are more involved and homework, and you know I get to go on a field trip next week, and
I
and
love
and stuff I didn't get to do. It's trucking's 24/7, and so that's partially why I moved to the remote, and I'll have to travel and all that, but I can take they have unlimited PTO, which is an amazing thing.
that.
And I'm super pumped about it. It's a good switch for me at the right time, and the company's been amazing. And just like my first 2 weeks was our customer summits, and I stayed up late with all the customers and our coworkers, and someone was going to order more shots, and they're like, just get him another water. And we were sitting down playing poker, and one guy was so nice. he came back and he had 4 bottles of water. They bought probably $9 a piece at the bar. But he's like, "This is so you can stay and play longer." And I'm like, "Jesus, I'm gonna have to pee a lot." But he's like, "We want you to stay up and play." And I'm like, "All right." But most people are intrigued and supportive, and if they're haters, fuck them.
Right?
Um, if they're not, most
Fan of
people are in your corner. They want you to succeed. Like I'm in your corner. If I don't know you, come to me. I want you to succeed. The days of hating are old. It's so much funner to celebrate wins with people than to, that I vowed I will not talk shit on anybody out loud. I might think it in my head, but then I'll readjust it. I'm never gonna say it out loud. Um, Even if it's a hater that hates me, I'll kill them with kindness and it'll be genuine. And if they choose to hate or hate on anything, that's their problem. I've
it.
got bigger things. I've got,
It's that
beautiful
inner peace.
family and friends and all of that.
It's too many blessings to worry about something that's not, you know?
Yeah, it is. And I can't control it. Everybody you meet has a different perspective of you. There's going to be some wrong ones out there. So, and there's some wrong ones that think, I'm Superman. I'll let that slide too. I'll let them keep that. The ones that think I'm cool still think that. But yeah, there's, a million different perspectives of you out there with everybody you meet, and you can't control any of them. So, being one's true authentic self has been my goal. And it's just bared fruit for charity, for donations, for gratitude that I have. I never would have had gratitude before. I always think, we're truly blessed of where we live today. Our internet connection and sitting in peace and quiet of our own homes, food in the fridge, electricity, warmth, like this beautiful country. I can go out for a walk right after this call. Like, how blessed are we? Like, it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, we're coming up on time, but I did want to ask because you mentioned being in people's corners. If somebody feels inspired by this or they're looking for somebody to be in their corner, what's the best way for somebody to reach out to you?
Sure. I don't care if they text me 801. I was about to sing the Mike Jones song, 281-330-8004. I was about to age myself, but that's 801-941-5685. They can email, text, call. I've got some friends, and maybe I'll have this conversation with you as well, that we're brewing about maybe having a transportation check-in maybe once a month on people that maybe are sober curious, that want to hear from some of us that have success stories. So, um,
Hey, if you
no
want
judgment.
that, I will happily join and participate however I can.
Okay, let's do it. So me and um, well, I won't say his name yet. I don't know if he wants to, but me and another friend have been talking about it. So I'll reach out to you because I want to get something going because there's a lot of curious people out there.
There are.
And, if you if like, I've even had friends reach out to me, how do you get past night 3? Because that's when I have the night sweats the worst and I can't sleep. And I'm like, bro, it's the suck. Just plan on night 3 because I've quit alcohol
Put your
like
tennis shoes on and go on
740
a walk.
times. Yeah.
That's what I did, and let me tell you, it gets real cold in the middle of the night in January and February, but you put your tennis shoes on and you go for a walk until you're tired, and then you go back to bed. That's what I
Yeah,
have
right. I
to
would
do.
color. I'd come out and color. I had a coloring paper, and I got into drawing and coloring. But anyway, reach me anyway. If you want
Yep.
to talk about anything, call, text, email, reach out to me. I'm happy to listen, happy to share what worked for me, what didn't work for me, or if you just want to talk about, you know, how to make things better. Because it's definitely from someone that needed a shot right when he woke up in the morning, or he wouldn't live. Probably go into a seizure or something, to waking up at 3 to running and really you know, enjoying life and thriving at what I'm doing, and taking on hard challenges and taking risks and just really stepping up. I'm in your corner, and I'd love to connect anyway.
Yeah. Jason, thank you so much for coming on the show. It has been so fun to get to know you.
You bet. Thank you so much for having me.
And to everybody else, we'll see you next time.